Look, you'll just have to imagine the John Williams score over this bit. I'm not risking a copyright strike from Disney. Hey and welcome to Makin, space? Technically wormholes? Okay, regular viewers, this video is building on the particle tunnel tutorials. People who found me through a search, you need to go get either the CC Particle World tutorial or the Trapcode Particular one. Both are linked in the description. I'm taking the techniques outlined in those videos and applying them to create a series of rock arches for Tatooine. I wasn't going to make this tutorial, I just shared an experiment as a YouTube post. But Abhinav Katoria YT and David Eisler both asked for it. And if you subscribe, you'll get to see previews and things I wasn't going to do, but then get badgered into making too. Universo en una caja, I haven't forgotten you either. A supernova tutorial is coming out soon as I figure it out. Okay, let's jump right in. I'm going to start with the particular project from that video's download, but it should be almost identical for the CC Particle World one. Post in the comments if you get stuck. First off, in Emitter, drop the particles to 1. We don't need that many rocks. And now if we solo the light and switch the view to front, we can see the light is going left and right, but also up and down. Hit P to expose the light's position keyframes, and if you remember, we set them to rove across time. Now, we could either hold shift and scrub the current time indicator so we can snap to each keyframe and set its Y coordinates to 540, or seeing as we included an expression on that position, we can just edit that. Expand the expressions area, and where it says Y equals value 1, delete everything after the equals and replace it with 540 semicolon. Unsolo it and set the view back to camera. Back on the particular layer, get rid of any color settings, then expand particular, expand particle, then expand rotation. Clear out any rotation values. You can double click on a property and it will appear in the timeline. Then you can delete the expression. Set the size to 200 and the size random to 50%. In visibility, set the far vanish to 20,000 and the far start fade to 19,000. A quick preview to see what we've got. Okay. Now let's leave this for the moment and open the particles text pre-comp. We're simulating a lot here, and I find that the more real stuff is in a video like this, the closer it looks to reality. We need some rocks. You could spend ages photoshopping real rock arches, but for now I'm just going to use this texture off Pixabay. I searched for cliff and picked this one. It's a tunnel too, but I wasn't going to use that part. Import it into AE and drag it into the particles text comp. You can delete all the other layers. And scale and position it so the top half of the comp is really interestingly textured. And now go to Layer, New, Solid. Click the Make It Comp Size button so it should be 500 by 500 pixels. Hit P and set the height to 50. And now set the image's track matte to alpha. So we're cutting off the bottom of the image. Turn on the title and action safe view. Then switch to the elliptical mask tool by clicking and holding on the rectangular mask and making sure the image layer is selected. Draw an ellipse from the top corner of the action safe line and drag down until the midpoint lines up with the cutoff from the mask. Now draw a second mask, this one smaller and inside the first. It might be easier to use the center point as a guide and holding Control, click and drag, which keeps the circular mask centered. Then switch that mask to Subtract. Now go to Effect, Distort, Turbulent Displace, and set the amount to 30. And the complexity to about 5. And then holding Alt, click on the Evolution stopwatch and type time times 1000. Particular is going to generate particles from this pre-comp, and this will give each one its own slightly different shape. Now go to Effect, Perspective, Bevel Alpha. We'll add some fake depth. And drag the edge thickness up until the shading meets in the middle. And it's up to you, but if you move the effect up before turbulent displace, you get a different look again. If we jump back to the main comp, you'll see the reason we've gone below the midpoint. The camera is flying at midpoint height, so we've placed the base of the arch below that. Let's add some fake shadow to finish the arch off. Back in the texture pre-comp, select the top layer, our matte solid, and go to Edit, Duplicate. Drag this below the texture layer, and now create another solid, black. Make sure it's below everything. Now, using the elliptical mask tools, draw a couple of ovals that will have the same width as the arch, one inside the other, and set the second to subtract. And draw 2 more ovals around the feet of the arch. Tap the M key a couple of times to expose all the mask properties, and set all the feathers to about 30. Tap the T key to set the transparency to about 75%. And finally for this bit, set the track matte to alpha inverted. So we're making almost a cross between a shadow and ambient occlusion. And that's the main part of the trick. So we just need to dress up the main comp, adding a floor, a spherical sky, particles to help sell the speed, and we'll be there. And that will be right after the break. YouTube, that's your cue for a break. Okay, just to explain, I don't have enough watch hours to qualify for the partner program, so I don't get to make money from ads or choose where the breaks go. I was just using that up as a joke to flag up my subscriber request, but how freaky would it be if YouTube added a break there? Anyway, back to Pixabay, and this time I search for Desert Floor. No, that's Desert Floor. Drag that into your comp, make it 3D, and in position, set the Y value to 560. This will position it just below the camera. In rotation, set the X rotation to 90. And if we scrub along the timeline until the camera is above it, yeah, but we need to expand it. With the layer selected, go to Effect, Stylize, RepeTile. I did try out Motion Tile too, but found faster results with RepeTile. If we select camera null for a moment and hit P on the position keyframes, we can see where it's traveling from minus 8000 pixels to plus 8000 pixels. So we need to expand the top and bottom layer to match. Because of the way the layer is rotated, expand down coincides with the end of the journey. So set that to 10,000, which will mean the horizon continues. And now set expand up to 6500 pixels. Everything else is out of view. And to get rid of those joining lines, I chose twist as the tiling option. Let's see what that's like. Now for the sky. This is a little trickier because 360 sky domes are generally only available for sale. The sky I originally used came from Video Copilot's flight kit, but that's not something I can share. So I went down a rabbit hole for you and found this source of sky domes on Blender for Architecture. I picked Sky Horizon 19 and modified it in Photoshop to get a mirror of the visible sky so that I can get a little fake reflection. Drop the sky PNG into the comp. Set it at the bottom and then go to Effects, Perspective, CC Environment, and set the Desert Floor layer's opacity to 80%. So we get what looks like reflections in the sky. Previewing everything? It's not bad, but let's expand camera null and bring the second keyframe closer to speed up the whole sequence. We still have 20 seconds here. Some of the tricks we can do. In camera options, set the zoom to 1000. Turn on depth of field and set the focal length to just 750. In particular, create a second emitter by going to Show System, Add Emitter. Set the emitter type to lights. Set the velocities to 0. In particle, set the life to 100 and the type to cloudlet. The size to 10 and size random to 100. And opacity to just 5. Set a sandy colour for the particles and set the random colour to 7. That gives us some dust in the air. And now go to Layer, New, adjustment layer, and then effect, blur, CC Radial Fast Blur, and set the amount to 80. And then draw an elliptical mask for the center. Set it to subtract and feather it to about 300, so we get that Formula 1 tunnel vision look. And then go to Effect, Distort, Optics Compensation. Set the amount to 70 and invert it. And a couple of final touches, you could add a vignette to darken the edges, and Particular works with lights by looking for the light to be called emitter. But if you wanted to add some rocks down the sides, then you could make a new emitter, call it Other Emitter. Then you could duplicate the Particular layer, delete the dust emitter, and in light naming, tell Particular to look for any lights named Other Emitter. You could also duplicate the particle texture comp and get rid of the inner masks, and point Particular 2 to this comp instead, then suddenly your rock archers aren't so lonely in the desert. If that was too fast for you, don't worry, it's all included in the project download. And now you can race your own Podracer TM on any desert planet of your choosing.